In the summer of 1980, two of Czechoslovakia's brightest hockey stars vanished into the night. Under the watch of a communist regime, with secret police nearby and their futures on the line, the Stastny brothers made a run for freedom and changed the NHL forever. What's the most thrilling moment in hockey history? You think it's a Game 7? Overtime winner? A sudden death goal that clinches the Stanley Cup? Maybe the miracle on ice? I'd argue it wasn't even a game. The greatest thriller was a secret plan, whispered in an Austrian hotel room. It involved three brothers, a totalitarian regime they had to outsmart, and a single, terrifying run for freedom. This is the story of how the Stastny brothers' real-life Cold War escape outshines any on-ice drama, and why their journey to the NHL was the most important victory in hockey history. To get why they escaped, you have to understand what they were escaping from. In the 1970s, Czechoslovakia was behind the Iron Curtain, a communist state where the government controlled just about everything. For superstars like brothers Marian, Peter, and Anton Šťastný, that control was absolute. They were national heroes, the core of the Czechoslovakian team that won world championships. On the ice, they were gods. Off the ice, they were state property. Their careers, their travel, their futures, none of it was their own. They were living in a golden cage, with all the fame in the world, but zero freedom. Peter Stastny later said he didn't want his kids growing up with a split personality, learning one thing at home and being forced to believe another by the regime. That gnawing pressure to live and think freely was always there. For years, leaving was just a dream. Their idol, Vaclav Nedomansky, had become the first star player to defect from a communist country to North America in 1974, proving it was possible. But the risks were insane. Defecting meant becoming a fugitive, abandoning family, and being erased from the history books. Their family left behind would face terrible consequences. Still, the dream of freedom and a chance to play in the legendary NHL was a powerful one. The question wasn't just if they should go, but how. The plan started to take shape not with a bang, but with a phone call. For 3 years, Gilles Leger, who would become the Quebec Nordiques Director of Player Development, had been working on the European project, a wild plan to sign the entire Stastny line. The Nordiques president, Marcel Lebeau, was obsessed. He famously said, "Believe it or not, there's a mother in Czechoslovakia who's got a son who is the star on the left side, another son who's a star in the center, and another one who is the star on the right wing." I said, "That's it. We have to go and pick them up. How do we do this?" The final push came in the summer of 1980. The brothers were fed up with the corruption in their team's management. An opportunity finally appeared when the club, Slovan Bratislava, traveled to Innsbruck, Austria for a tournament. This was their shot. Being in a neutral country, away from the state police, gave them a tiny window. The plan was for Peter and the youngest brother, Anton, to defect. The oldest, Marian, was married with 3 kids and couldn't risk it. He would stay behind, a gut-wrenching decision that would haunt all 3 of them. The stage was set for a real-life spy thriller. The prize wasn't a trophy, but a new life. The penalty for failure? Imprisonment, or worse. The escape itself played out like a Cold War movie. In August 1980, in Innsbruck, Peter Stastny hoarded every coin he could find, slipped away to a payphone, and made a late-night call to the Quebec Nordiques. The message was simple. He and Anton were ready, right now. The Nordiques front office exploded. Abu and Leger jumped on a private jet to Austria. Peter later recalled the shock on the other end of the line, saying they felt as if St. Peter was calling them from heaven's gates. The plan was simple but incredibly dangerous. Peter, his wife Dorina, who was 8 months pregnant, and Anton needed to get from Innsbruck to the Canadian Embassy in Vienna. After a team dinner, instead of getting on the bus, the 2 brothers and Dorina slipped out of the hotel. A car organized by the Nordiques was waiting. What followed was a tense, high-speed drive to Vienna, racing against the clock. They knew the second they were missed, Czechoslovakian agents would be after them. Aided by Viennese police and Canadian Embassy officials working behind the scenes, they made it. After being granted asylum at the embassy, it was a mad dash to the airport. They were hustled onto a plane to Amsterdam, then a connection to Montreal. On August 25, 1980, just a day after their escape began, Peter and Anton Šťastný landed on Canadian soil, free. They signed with the Quebec Nordiques the next day. The escape was a success, but for the brother they left behind, the nightmare was just beginning. Peter and Anton's arrival in North America wasn't just a political victory. It was a hockey revolution. The Quebec Nordiques, a struggling team that had just joined the NHL, were transformed overnight. The impact was immediate. In his rookie season, 24-year-old Peter Stastny didn't just adapt, he dominated. He put up a phenomenal 109 points, a rookie record at the time, and won the Calder Trophy as the league's best rookie. Anton wasn't far behind, scoring 85 points in his own debut season. The brothers, with their telepathic connection on the ice, turned the Nordiques from an afterthought into a real contender. For them, drafting Europeans was a gamble. The Stastnys made it a gold rush, but their success wasn't just about points. They endeared themselves to the Quebec fans by learning French, creating a powerful bond. They weren't just star players, they were their star players. They led the Nordiques to the playoffs in their very first year, kicking off a 7-year postseason streak for the franchise. They had risked everything, and in their first season, they proved it was worth it, but the victory felt incomplete. 1/3 of their legendary line was still trapped behind the Iron Curtain. While Peter and Anton were lighting up the NHL, Marion was living in hell. As punishment for his brother's betrayal, the government came down hard on him. He was suspended from the national team, kicked off his club team, and blacklisted from working. He was followed by authorities and forced to report to the police weekly. In a desperate bid to protect his family, Marion publicly denounced his brothers, even as he secretly planned his own escape. Without money being smuggled in from his brothers, his family would have been left with nothing. After a year of this torment, Marion made his move. To fool the authorities, he started extensive renovations on his home and took trips to other Eastern Bloc countries, always making sure to return. He was lulling his watchers into a false sense of security. Then, in 1981, while on a trip to Hungary with his family, he made a break for the Austrian border. Once across, he contacted Marcel Abou. A year after the first escape, the Nordiques orchestrated another, and Marion and his family were finally flown to Quebec. The reunion was a storybook ending. For the 1981-82 season, the Stastny line was whole again, on NHL ice. Their chemistry was mythical. Linemate Jamie Hislop said, "These guys, geez, they're phenomenal. The way they know each other's moves so well, they made the Nordiques a powerhouse, leading them to the conference finals in 1982. Their legacy isn't just about points. The Stastny brothers changed the face of hockey. Their escape and success blew the doors open for a wave of European talent that would redefine the NHL. They were a beacon of hope, proving that players from behind the Iron Curtain could not only compete, but also dominate." Peter Stastny would score over 1,200 points in his career, second only to Wayne Gretzky in scoring during the 1980s, and was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1998. The story of the Stastny brothers is a powerful reminder that the biggest battles aren't always fought for a championship. Sometimes they're fighting for freedom itself. If you found this story as incredible as I do, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from hockey history. And let me know in the comments what other incredible off-ice stories deserve to be told. So, what's the most thrilling moment in hockey history? A game-winning goal gives you a champion, but the Stastny escape gave 3 men their lives back and changed the future of the sport. It was a high-stakes thriller in which the game was real. The opponent was a totalitarian regime, and the victory wasn't just a Stanley Cup, but a free life. They weren't just playing for the Quebec Nordiques, they were playing for every athlete who dreamed of controlling their own destiny, and that is a thriller no playoff game can ever be. Hey hockey fans, you can also follow my blog at https.deadtalkshockey.com, and remember to keep your stick on the ice.